Tonight's episode, The Ripoff.
GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com.
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome everybody to our Daily Gun Show. Come to you live every weeknight at midnight Eastern, and we talk about guns, for like an hour or something. So every night we have a different topic. We talk about going live every weeknight, so you could just do that and do nothing, blah, 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 or you could try to get some stuff accomplished. And that's really the goal of this show. 1,400 episodes into it. Our goal is to get some stuff accomplished. So on Mondays, it's motivation. Helping activists and people who might want to become an activist to understand what's involved and how to do it, share, so that we can all become stronger by understanding each other's successes and failures. We can also talk about Tuesdays, where we talk about the Second Amendment. That's what we'll talk about tonight. On Wednesdays, we have more fun. We chat about the guns in media, guns in pop culture, guns in our society, I guess. And then we do our tactical quiz. On Thursdays, two of my favorite things about guns are the travel, running around looking at the different facets of what the Second Amendment protects, over my lifetime at least. And then training. Had a lot of fun experiencing training, talking about training, and using training as one of the catalysts or one of the facets of, or one of the portholes to follow gun ownership and guns in community. There's lots of ways you could do it. You could do it with the industry. You could do it with the mechanics. You could do it with the chemistry of firearms, right? You could do it with crime. You could do it with politics. I really think it's interesting to follow training. I consider training in a lot of ways to be anyway, we won't get into that. We'll get into that on Thursday. And then Fridays, we take a look at the week and look back at what other people have done that focuses on what our Second Amendment protects. Try to give you a weekly wrap-up of all things Second Amendment as concisely and efficiently as possible. So today's Tuesday, and it's 2A. So we've been doing a series now for most of this season. If you consider each year of this show a season, this would technically be season, let's see, 1, 17 would be 2, 18 would be 3, 19 would be 4, 20 would be 5, 21 would be 6, and then this would be season 6 because we took a year off somewhere in there. So this is season 6 of the show, and most of this season on Tuesdays, we focused on each state, 1 week per state. I don't think we hit all of them, but we hit most of them. A lot of the Norths, I think we missed, and a lot of the, we might have missed. No, we hit the West. But Well, Jacob's out there. I'll talk about that in a second, I guess. So I kind of took the change with the last couple of shows on Tuesday, and today I'm just going to do open topic 2A discussion. There's a lot to get done. There's a lot of goals out there, and there's a lot of distraction. There's a lot of opportunity, a lot of challenge, and while going through and methodically taking a look at each state is useful and necessary to some extent, there's more to it than that for sure. So I do have links out there to some of the co-hosts. The show's 1,400 episodes long. We've had Bob, Jimmy, Smeggy, Z, Angelina, Barbecue, DJ. Am I at 8 already? I'm missing some. So we probably had 10 co-hosts on this show. Woods, I don't know if you were ever a co-host, but we have links out there. The co-hosts know where to grab them. So they're welcome, whether or not they're awake now or interested. They don't really talk about 2A. A lot of the co-hosts are now interested in ice cream flavors or different types of asparagus, from what I understand. But we talk about stuff in the live chat here. So we do this show every evening at midnight live. We could do a recorded show. In fact, if I can get this thing up off the ground like I'd like it to, there will be a complimentary sister show that happens at noon, and that one will be recorded. We'll talk about what that show could be if you want. But this show is a live conversation, and it's done in the evening at midnight Eastern. It's only 9 o'clock on the East Coast, on the West Coast, but midnight on the East Coast makes it late night for a lot of people. And as the show gets longer, of course, it happens to be midnight in the Central, and then if it's long enough, it'll be midnight in all 4 time zones, right? And that would be our goal, to have a long format discussion each night, not necessarily just for the people that are up overnight, which are, the people that are underappreciated and often, so anyway, the people that are up overnight doing all the stuff, we like being live for them, but it does mean that we don't get as many people participating in the show. So we do appreciate the people that do participate. All right, so let's say hey to the people that are out here live. I guess me, and then Smeggy said hey. First one out here. Woods is out here. And Jacob, and that's what I was going to say. I'm going to get your question here. So it says, I want to make the next patch swap. I'm excited to see what I got. I can bust open what you got right now, and then you'll just know what you got. And then it'll be here so you can swap it, or I can send it to you. Because I thought you said you wanted me to send it to you. I haven't sent it to you yet, so. Oh, right on. So that's what I was actually, I appreciate it. Jacob is saying, if you need somebody on the show, I live in Arkansas and I'm up to date on the gun laws. So are you talking Arkansas gun laws or all gun laws in general? But I have been thinking about when maybe next year, in other words, when we go through and do all the states individual, then what we'll do is potentially try to bring people on from those states to give some insight and what. Problem is, I don't want to have somebody on who's like, well, yeah, the gun laws suck, because anybody can tell me that, right? Let me go grab your. It wouldn't be proper to do any trading right now, but I can show you what you got in your package. Nobody can complain about that. So let me bring over my camera over here, bring this out, and open this up. Let me get some kind of a knife or something. So here's your package. It was randomly selected on Sunday. Make sure we're not cutting any patches. Oh, I cut all the patches. Let's see, I didn't even cut the bag that they're actually in there. All right, now maybe we got them. Oh, I definitely cut something. All right, let's see what we got. So the first one, there's Echo again. Good evening. Thanks for staying up. I know you're booking in. Okay, well, there's the first one. A Mars tactical gear. I don't know why my camera's wiggling all over. Probably because I'm shaking the table. So a Mars tactical gear. Oh, snap. The Instagram that shit. So I paid for this one somewhere. I remember buying this one back in the day. One of the ones I don't know why I put in the giveaway. I probably should have just kept that. One of these elf. I don't know what this is. Elf Men Tactical, I guess is the way you say it. I can't get enough of wiggling this patch. I'm pretty sure this is Pakistani, my guess. See how it's flimsy? Pakistani. Just saying. I mean, I have no idea know it, but I'm guessing that's Pakistani. Next one, Apex. Whatever that says. I don't know what it says. It's got an American flag with a lightning bolt on it. If you like American flag patches, you're going to like this one. It's well made, but I'm not the biggest fan of those kind of patches. Next one is Vega holster. Black with white writing. Some real neat detail here. Some pretty interesting detail. I don't know why this thing, I just don't have this thing focused good, but there's some detail on the O and over here. What the heck? Just a second. I haven't sent it yet, and I don't have a deadline. I'll talk to you about it tomorrow. All right. So then, did I see your email? Yeah, I totally mixed it up. I was thinking Tony Simon's patch, so I sent you one of his again. But no worries, I'll get you one of the those yellow ones. So sorry about that. Got a text in the middle of everything here. This one is from TNW Firearms. I have no idea, but they got this airplane there. And I've been telling people, if you need Velcro, let me know. I can put Velcro on there easy enough. And then I think what happened is some son of a bitch sliced this thing with a razor blade and cut your Elfman tactical patch all up. So I can't be held liable for that or nothing, but I'll put this in somehow like this. Put this over, that's how we'll do it. So there you go. So I can't do any kind of patch trading right now because that wouldn't be ethical. It's not patch ethical. But now you got an idea of what patches you got going on. And you've got at least two people who are patch traders, known patch traders and people that affiliate with patch traders who are out here now probably plotting against what your patches are. Just to let you know, that might be happening. So we'll be pouching this back up. And I've already determined that if you do this the wrong way, it will just slide right through the thing. So I got to make sure I'm putting them all back into the bag. And this kind of excitement is what you can experience on Sundays when we do patch trading. Patch packs, $25. Guaranteed to get good patches in there. Guaranteed. Or you're not really guaranteed because I'm not getting anybody. My Mac, these are to raise money so that I can pay bills, basically. So thanks again to Jacob. Hopefully those are cool. Like I say, I can hold on to them then, and you can trade them on Sunday with everybody again. We're going to be doing the patch swaps each Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern, I guess is the way it works. So if that works for everybody, looking for feedback on time. It works with Barbecue, and he's a big input on that. So Echo is saying, I'm going to need a channel patch. Well, I tell you what, I would definitely be interested in helping you out with that. And if you're talking about well, send me an email with the logo, the image that you're talking about. And yeah, I'm not trying to jinx nothing. Let's not jinx nothing, but let's say that I'll be happy to help out with that if I can. Let's see. So this is going to be super boring. I don't want to just answer texts. That's super boring. I know some people dig that, but it's super frustrating for me, and I don't like doing my shows that way. So if we can talk about 2A, that's awesome. If there's some interesting 2A topics to talk about and not just moaning and groaning, let's chat about 2A. What I'll do is I think I'm just going to look through my Instagrams and do a bit of my Instagram show that I used to do on Sundays. And feel free to kind of bust in here with other 2A topics. But, I'm just not interested in shooting the shit. I listen to people shoot the shit all day while I'm doing stuff. When it's time for me to fart around, I don't want to shoot the shit. I want to get shit done. I have to do stuff that I don't want to do during the day. I want to do stuff that I want to do. And all I want to do is move our Second Amendment fight ahead. I don't want to make money or waste time observing dipshits not getting the Second Amendment fight finished. So let's talk about people that are getting shit done. Wood just taken off. He doesn't like 2A that much. Echo saying thumbs up, right on. So let's dig into this. I'm going to zoom in on this. I guess he's got to go to work in the morning or whatever. That's part of the problem of having a show in the middle of the night. All right. So I don't know how far back. Let's go this way. Let's just dig in from the front backwards. Got gun policy. So firearms policy. HR 8534, the Responsible Gun Ownership Licensing Act. This sounds like the heinous crap that's going on in Washington, Oregon, right? License HR 8534. What is this? Is this the one in Washington? I thought Washington's was like HR 17. So if this is national, yeah, it is. So that's a national one. I'm guessing it's not sitting there, or it's just sitting there not doing anything. Oh, no worries. Where are all these mosquitoes coming from? There are giant fat mosquitoes constantly. I have every door closed, the windows closed. Where are these freaking mosquitoes coming from? Where can I have stagnant water? I must have a leak someplace that I don't know it. Smeggy's in here now, just not saying anything.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey.
So what's the deal? I only heard you start talking about that bill, and then the audio cut out because I was joining into here.
We've got a HR 8534, Responsible Gun Ownership Licensing Act. Looks like it was introduced by somebody in July of this year, and they're talking about it. So I'm guessing that this is more of an attempt by, is it an attempt by FPC to just bring up lame shit and talk about it and get everybody upset? Or is it them being insightful of something that has teeth or that has traction, and we'd be in trouble if we didn't pay attention to it? I'd like to see more than a meme about it, So I don't know. But anyway, I can't solve everything tonight. We'll just talk about that. Is one of the things that I noticed that we're going backwards. So this was recent. This was from 2 hours ago. So this might be brand new for all I know. This is Chris from the 740. I sent out a bunch of stuff to people. I've been kind of trickling it out. Just like I said, I've been working on something big and a couple of actually larger things, and haven't had a chance to spend as much time doing things as I'd like. So I've been trickling out some of the stuff I needed to send people for winning tactical quizzes and whatnot. And people that are getting that stuff have posted some pictures. I don't know, for some reason I really dig this. I guess he put it against a corner or something, and it's just that white on white, the patches with the shadow and everything. Something about that picture, I really like it. So thanks for Chris for posting that one. This is Beth Alcazar, Locked and Loaded Latinos. One of their best friends is Beth Alcazar, and she works for USCCA, and she's a author of Women's Handgun and Self-Defense Fundamental book. And maybe it's a periodical, I'm not sure. But it's a, it's an instructional type of manual type of publication, and she's going to be teaching at Cape Gunworks on. Oh, wait a minute, Wednesday the 2nd. For some reason, I thought it was over the weekend. So I guess she's going to be there. No, okay, wait. Yeah. I think her class is on 11/11, but these other classes will be happening also. I don't think Beth is there for 7 days, but I think they're just showing a bunch of their different classes that are there, because I'm pretty sure that Riding Shotgun with Charlie does their Utah CCW class. Okay, so there's a class in Massachusetts. Is that the one that has enhanced background checks for whatever? It says licensing. The bill would require a federal license to purchase. All firearms purchased with the firearms license would be registered with the government, and at any time an attorney general could deem you unfit to own a firearm. So it doesn't sound like it's the 18 to 20-year-olds.
No, I was gonna say that sounds a lot like the FOID card, or that's what the Illinois one, and like New York and all those other eastern states have stuff like that.
I don't think Illinois registers your gun. In fact, I'm almost positive Illinois doesn't register your gun. That part of it would be more, but yeah. And it sounds like
you have to get a license to prove you're like a good guy or whatever, and then you can go buy a gun
in order to even purchase. Right, exactly. And it's just an arbitrary, onerous obligation to impose on a certain part of the law-abiding public based on the arrogant ignorance. Is that the right good word? Arrogant ignorance that they depend on for the people in the middle that just aren't paying attention that gun owners aren't doing anything. It's the criminals that are doing stuff with guns. I came up with one. I had a conversation today. So what I didn't say, but what I edited later was this, because the person was asking about if pistol braces were going to be a big deal or whatever. Like, should I take the pistol brace off effectively? And I was like, it's as though they made convertibles illegal because somebody thought people would fall out of convertibles, or that the sun would hit you too much or something. So they made convertibles illegal. You can have old convertibles, but they're illegal. And now anybody can drive around a convertible. If you have one, you just can't make a new one, right? You can't take a roof off of a car. You've got a golf cart with no roof on it. You can put a roof on it, but you can't take a car and take the roof off of it, right? So that's no big deal. But they said you can have T-tops. That's okay. So everybody's been running around with T-tops. And now everybody's going, well, we can have T-tops. How come we can't have convertibles? So we're going to make T-tops with a moonroof. So it's, like somehow they're removing more and more of the roof all the time. And they're like, okay, that's legal. As long as you don't stick your head out the moonroof, that's legal, right? If you stick your head out the moonroof, then it's technically a convertible. So, okay, so now we have our T-tops and our moonroofs. And then they go, you know what? No, moonroofs and a T-top together, that's a convertible. If you have just the T-tops, that's okay. But if you have the moonroof and the T-tops, that's a convertible. It's illegal. And now you're either going to go to jail or have to give up your car. And that's effectively what they're doing. And
that's a cool way of saying it.
Right. And if they can understand that, then they'll go, oh, I'm not too concerned then. Because once people figure out that this is basically a bunch of garbage, then they're just going to say convertibles are legal again, and we'll be able to buy whatever we want again. So I didn't quite say it that well, and I didn't say it well right now, but that's sort of my thing. I think that they used to say convertibles were fine, and then they said, no, you know what, convertibles are illegal, so you can't even have them. But you can have the old ones. They're super dangerous, but you can have the old ones. You just can't make a new one because they're so dangerous. You can have the old ones, but just not a new one. Now, if you're a dealership, you can make a convertible. You're okay. But nobody else can just buy a convertible off of you, right? You can make a convertible. You can give it to another dealer. That's okay. You guys can drive around in convertibles all you want. In fact, make videos about it. Have fun. Nobody cares. Everybody else can't have a convertible unless they buy one of these expensive ones. T-tops, okay. But you can't stick your head out of it. No, you can't stick your head out of it. Okay, you can't. Okay, you can. Okay, you can stick your head out of a T-top, no problem. Wait a minute, T-tops are convertibles. They're illegal. That's probably the way to say it, right?
Yeah, well, I have to say I really enjoy the part about, you can stick your head out of it. Oh wait, no, you can't, because that's like shouldering the brace versus not. Like it encompasses
Right.
that whole saga.
Right. And
And
it's
that's
like, and the whole point is like, you're going to fall out of a convertible because you're such a fucking idiot that you can't drive a car with a convertible.
or you have your head out and you go under a low bridge or something. Like you're gonna hit your head on something.
So then it would be like having a boat. Like you can't have a boat because we're scared that you're going to stick your head way up when you go underneath the bridges or something. Yeah. I guess it worked with a car too. But anyway, yeah. So that was sort of my conversation today, except edited. And if I could have gone back and said it again, that's how I would have said it better. I basically said something to that effect, though.
Yeah. What's cool about those types of conversations, I mean, I know you mentioned it earlier in the other chat. It's like when you're talking with someone who's, I'm just going to say, like, not in our bubble type of thing, right? Like people that just might not be up to speed on all the stuff. And I had a conversation similar to that years ago, and it's also surrounding the pistol brace thing, is that somebody saw I had a brace this patch in my car. And they saw that and was like, whoa, what's that all about? And so I'll ask the audience to try and imagine it. Maybe they can come up with ideas of, how to explain it better or whatever. But think of it this way: having to explain the shouldering rule of the pistol brace, like when that came out just before SHOT Show, to somebody who doesn't even know what the NFA is. So like I had to go back in time and start with like, what's a short barreled rifle? And then what's a pistol and how is that not a rifle? And then what's this brace and how does that not count as a stock? But they say if you put it on your shoulder, it is a stock. Like all of the little fine things that, we're just kind of used to because we saw it happen one step at a time and we're up to date. Try explaining that to someone who's a gun dude and, likes the Second Amendment and all that stuff, but didn't even know any of that kind of stuff existed. And I thought it was a good opportunity. I mean, I like to think that dude left that conversation being like, oh, that's the stupidest thing I ever heard. Like ACF is way out of bounds. And, so he's more of a Second Amendment advocate now than before that conversation ever happened. Because he didn't know anything, like he didn't know anything was wrong to know there was something to fight for. So he's just like, well, I have my guns. Second Amendment's fine, I guess. Yeah, there's some restrictions, but whatever. And so letting them know, like, the grass is greener on the other side. Like it could be different. So anyways, those are the types of things I enjoy doing. That I love conversating with people and arguing about stuff. And whether it's a FUD or a full-on anti-gunner or someone, who coined this phrase? I want to give them credit. I forget now. But someone said something about being a gun agnostic as basically like the people in the middle who just don't care one way or the other. They're not anti-gun, but they're certainly not 2A. I want to have conversations with those people. That's what I enjoy.
Yeah, I can't remember who said that. I remember someone saying it.
I feel like it was at GRPC. I think that's where I picked that up from.
No, I mean, that was like me the first time you heard. No, I don't even think. I think you heard it before that because I remember you saying that. I think I've heard you say that twice that you're like, oh, I like that. Or else I heard you maybe.
I feel like it was recent though. Like
it was recently. It was this year for sure, but I think it was before that.
Okay. Well, I hope my brain starts working and I remember because I will give that person credit. Because as soon as I heard that phrase, I'm like, oh, that's the perfect way to describe the people I'm talking about. Because I've always said it like, yeah, the guys in the middle, they don't really care. It's like, it's kind of hard. It's wordy. But just saying, yeah, gun agnostic, boom, everyone understands exactly what you're talking about.
So they'll go countries with that. I'm just looking through this anti-gun places thing. They go countries with the highest total gun deaths, all causes. And then they got Brazil, United States, Venezuela, and United States. You know, if you take out 2/3 of that, it's more like 11,000, which would drop us down to 7. And, or I guess shifting, yeah, it would still be 7. And, uh, you know, put us under India and a little tiny country like Colombia, Mexico, our neighbor. And, well, Brazil's not little. But then we'd be really close to the Philippines, a freaking island. So if you removed suicides from gun deaths, reasons for gun death, you know, deaths of the gun in the United States, we'd be about the same as from the Philippines. We'd be somewhere between the Philippines and the individual country of Colombia. And that mostly is fueled by the war on drugs, of course. Okay, so anyway, I'm just looking at that.
And then picture it as the per capita too, right? Because that's one of those things that is very common in statistics, is that if you're trying to get your point across and you don't have good, like, you know, it's not a good percentage, like you want to make it sound like it's more than it really is, you use a total number. Because anything in the thousands, oh, that's scary. Oh my God, it's so many thousands of people. But compared to millions and millions, like, you know, what, 330 million people, you know, yeah, it's all tragic, just one, blah, 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 whatever. But a couple thousand, that's going to happen. Like, that's a very small percentage.
In scale, the what was it called? In scale, the rare becomes common. I think that's how it went. In scale, the rare becomes common. So once you have more and more things happening, you know, 1% becomes hundreds and hundreds, and then thousands of people, and then tens of thousands of people.
Right. It's like, how many people do you know that have, I don't know, like face tattoos? Probably of all the people you know, maybe, you know, one person or whatever. You put that out in the whole country, there's got to be thousands of people with face tattoos. So it's like something that's kind of rare and unique and not very common in the whole world. Is there 1 million people in the world with face tattoos? Maybe.
Yeah.
Does that mean that they're everywhere? It sounds like it. 1 million face tattoos. That must mean everybody. No, that's like almost nobody.
But you could fill up a whole train station and all the trains and the conductors and all the people with face tattoos, because there's that many people like that. And then somebody would go, wow, everybody in the city has face tattoos. Oh, Echo just said he sent me the email. Thanks for that. And then I saw Skidmark through, I don't know what this is, €5? I'm going to say euros because I don't know what it is. Liras? I don't know what that is. Tell me what it is. Some kind of internet monies. Thanks for that. It's still money. It'll still pay for a bill over here. So thank you for that. I was thinking about the Safer Communities Act, which starts on the 14th of November. What is NVM? I don't know what it means, but whatever that means, I'm sure. Thank you for that. Pounds. Okay, cool. So I appreciate that. I don't know if I've ever gotten international monies through the super chats before. So this is the first time I don't get them very often. If I have gotten one before, I don't want to forget it. So if I have, I've forgotten. So I apologize. But anyway, that's pretty cool. So let me jump over to the chat so I don't have to copy and paste everything. And then jump that up over to here and see where that's at. That would have been what I'm calling the Republican gun control bill, because they got to own it. They paid for it. They bought it. They voted for it.
Oh, is that the ones that had like some stuff in schools or whatever too?
It's hard to say because there's been 2 Republican gun control bills that passed this year. So the Safer Communities Act, let's find out which one that one was. The Republican the Republican Safer Communities Act. This is literally on a Republican website. The Republican Safer Communities Act was introduced by Republicans, senators, and blah, 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 overview, blah, 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 executive summary. The bill expands the existing Medicaid certified behavioral health demonstration program for behavioral health services. $750 million in funding over 5 years to states to support crisis intervention services, including the enactment of red flag laws. It clarifies criteria for prohibiting firearms purchases for crimes committed by juveniles. So that's an expanded version of 4473 background check through NICS for just 18 to 21-year-olds. Like they're more susceptible to being violent. Sorry, I couldn't find my mute. It establishes the first federal criminal offenses and penalties for straw purchasers. That's bullshit. First federal criminal, maybe, but still, that's bullshit. People who purchase guns on behalf of others, usually those who would be banned, and this is just some connotation bullshit at the end. So
that's not true either, though. Like that's
it's super.
That's what they want to say straw purchases are, but literally.
They're mistakes. 99% of them are mistakes.
Well, or if, like, let's say you're, I don't know, at a gun show or something, and you see this gun you know your buddy has been looking for a long time, right? He's at work. You can't call him up and be like, hey, I found that, whatever thing you've been looking for forever, and it's only $100. Like, you want me to pick it up for you? Like, that's technically a straw purchase, even though that person is perfectly legal to buy it. And if he didn't have to work that day, he'd be buying it himself. Like, you can't help a friend out and buy something for him. It's ridiculous.
Look at this. It says the score for this legislation estimates the bill will reduce the deficit by $154 million over 10 years.
By spending $750 million, you're going to save $150 million? Where do you figure that out from?
From the CBO score, where there's a link to it, so it must be real.
Oh, my apologies. I didn't realize there was a link from somewhere.
Here you go. Come on, Smeggy.
I mean, it does look like a spreadsheet, though.
Look, I mean, it's got this obvious, nice little PDF chart or whatever. Oh, and it's only a quarter. No, it's 2 pages. Okay, so it's just 2 pages of charts with some extra blah, 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 but whatever. Look, there's a gray section on the side. It makes it very easy. There's some bold sections. There's a lot of section titles. There's an official logo on it. It's legit. Come on. This is such annoyingness. All right, so thank you for bringing that up. But the question, I guess, was, is that the one that has advanced background checks for 18 to 20-year-olds? So no, the one that this one is a new one that, like Smeggy was saying, is more like an FOID, a purchase or a license that's required in order to become eligible for the consideration of purchasing a firearm. And this is different. This looks like this actually looks like it came up, what we looked at it. It came up in July of this year. This one you're talking about, though, the Safer Communities Act bullshit is, oh, never mind. That's what I thought. And I was like trying to figure out what never mind meant, but I got you. But the Safer Communities Act has already passed. The Republicans passed it. They allowed it to pass, and there's been no repercussions, no consequences at all for the Republicans passing that. And that one does have somehow it authorized higher scrutiny on people between 18 and 20-year-olds. Makes no sense. Is a complete theater. It's a complete facade, a thing that they can parade around and say that they've done something to people who they're not educating or creating awareness for. They're just using their unawareness to say that they've done something. It's just garbage. It's just garbage. There's no way to say it's good in any way. Or, I mean, I can't find any good part of that stuff. That's just mess. And plus it spends so much money, and the requirements to get the money goes to the first 10 states that do this, and the things that they have to do are already been done by the Bloomberg groups. So it's effectively taken $750 million and given it back to Bloomberg, who is the only one who's accomplished the requirements, who's jumped the hurdles that they set up to earn the money for the next 10 years. And once you're locked in, you get that money for 10 years. So effectively it just paid Bloomberg back for all the money, at least $750 million approximately of the billions or however many millions he spent on the lady from Monsanto and now Giffords. I'm assuming he's paying for Giffords. Who knows who's paying for Giffords? Assuming him.
You know, I always like to think whenever they introduce some bill is, you know, kind of giving them the benefit of the doubt. What is the hypothetical situation that they're stopping? And the idea of, you know, an 18 to 20-year-old and like having a juvenile record or whatever. So is the hypothetical some 16-year-old did, you know, like armed robbery or something, but because they were a minor, like it wouldn't show up on a NICS check. And so now that they're 19 years old, they go to buy something, and now because of this bill, it's going to stop them. Like, I don't think that person exists. The person that, you know, did stuff when they were minors and they're bad guys, and then now they're going to go legally buy a gun when they're older, like, it doesn't make sense. That's the only thing I can see that changing, because someone who doesn't have a minor record.
Well,
like,
let's say that you
they
are
don't need
a
enhanced
kid who
background.
doesn't have, because I don't think there's bad kids. I think there's kids that are let loose to be reckless and, you know, left alone. Kids are going to be kids, and then sometimes they do stuff that's inadvertently or intentionally harmful and violent, right? So, not giving anybody a pass, but I'm just saying I don't think kids get born and go, oh, I got a tendency to violence, right? It's just a situation of all different kinds of creations, right? Of all different reasons. So if you acknowledge that kids aren't just born evil and horrible or whatever, and then they go around, they accidentally do something or intentionally do something, and then there's corrective measures taken. And if you believe that a person can change their, you know, their ways, then that person who's young and does something bad changes their ways. Now they become 18 and you tell them, nah, you still, you know, there's consequences. And now you have no path to have whatever of your rights, right? Exercise your rights in this way, at least. And so now they live somewhere where, you know, are they rich, or are they living in a neighborhood that might have reason for them to want to protect themselves, or to just have a recreation that's interesting, or just to collect something that was given to them, right? Possess something that was given to them by their family or by somebody who thinks that they're worth it, or someone wants to show that they're, that they show that, you know, that wants to let them know that they feel like they've got a level of, what's the word, responsibility again. So here's one way we can exercise that is with a firearm. No, the government has said, the state has said, we're just going to judge everyone in that in those age groups ineligible for that ability to redeem yourself. So if you're going to tell somebody they can't redeem themselves, why would they try to redeem themselves? Like, if there's no positive consequence of redemption, then you've effectively said there's no reason to redeem yourself. So it's contradictory. Is that the right word? Like, it's a messed up situation to suggest that someone who's done something wrong has no chance of exercising their, or, you know, making amends and getting better. And it's frustrating because they'll use that they as some bullshit they, you know, and they'll let people come up with whatever they want based off of movies or whatever trip they got going on in their own head, but they won't suggest an individual circumstance or anything. They'll just say, you know, blah, 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 we're worried about the kids. And then, you know, hold up one example of a horrible, you know, extreme example. Anyway, I'm just ranting, I think, at that point. Anything else on that one? But thanks to the 5 whatever pounds, I have no idea how that matches up, so I appreciate that. Echo saying give everybody a thumb. Appreciate it. There's only 4 people watching, so only going to be 4 thumbs out there, I assume. I don't think I have a poll going. I didn't put this one on the big channel. This is just on a little channel. That's a good point. I wasn't even thinking about who's more likely, because honestly, I don't know if a younger person is more likely. I know a lot of dumb kids that are just dumb, and they're going to spin around for a while. I know a couple of people that didn't get their crap together until, you know, they were older. And that's, you know, what are you going to do? People are different from each other, right? 2 people can be brothers or siblings, brother and sister, and be totally different, right? Like, that can happen. It happens all the time. So All I'm saying is, I know old people that have turned their lives around, right? We know people that have stopped smoking or uh, got sick of doing something and did something else or whatever. So, or major stuff that they've changed around. So, I think it takes an epiphany or it takes something sometimes for some people. Um, but anyway,
Yeah,
I
I mean,
just sent out a link to Jacob, by the way. I just emailed you a link if you wanted to jump in.
so that is a good point though about turning your life around or whatever. And sometimes it's not like you have to do some kind of crazy life changing thing like a gang member that decides to give it all up or whatever. I used to work with a guy. He's not allowed to own firearms because when he was younger, I'm not quite sure if he was 18 yet. Maybe he was, but he was definitely like upper teenager. He had a motorcycle and he was cruising down the highway at 120 miles an hour or whatever, doing stupid kid stuff. Anyways, cop flicks his lights on. He ends up stopping and pulling over, but because he was going so fast, it was like 2 miles later, and he got a felony for basically like high speed chase. And he's like, as soon as the light turned on, I knew I was caught and I stopped. Like I wasn't running away, but that's considered felony evasion, and now he can't own a firearm for the rest of his life. And it's like he wasn't even a bad kid. He just was doing something stupid on a motorcycle, which I think most people
There's
who have motorcycles go hundreds of miles an hour. Like that's kind of why they got it.
Well, yeah, there's things where if you're 27 miles over, it's a felony, right? So, like, I've heard of stuff. I mean, I guess I don't know anybody, but I've heard of the idea, or at least the circumstance where, um, somebody will be driving somewhere, go 27 miles over the speed limit, flirting around, obviously going fast, but somewhere where they think they're okay, and then they got a felony traffic thing, and yeah, that's how messed up is that? Or how messed up would that be? I don't want to suggest that happens all the time. I don't know that many places where you can go 27 miles over the speed limit and think that you're in good shape. But Montana or someplace out here in Arizona where you're just cut straight away. I've been definitely been places in Nevada and New Mexico where there's big flat stretches. There was no way you never want to speed in New Mexico for what it's worth. New Mexico I wouldn't speed in New Mexico.
Well, the other thing is just as kind of side note, but there's a road in Michigan where it's like 70 miles an hour for most of the way. But then there's a section where it drops down to 55. So if you were going, 75 or 77 or whatever, which is not that much over the speed limit, as soon as you cross that line, now you're going 20 some miles over the speed limit. So there could be that kind of speed trap type thing where the thing drops down and you haven't slowed down yet. You were speeding before, but only by a little bit. Now you're speeding by a lot. And it's that whole thing with the felony of, if the charge like has the opportunity to be like a 3-year jail sentence or whatever, even though like in this guy's case, I don't think he even went to jail for it. Like even though he got charged with the evading arrest thing, the judge was like, yeah, just pay a fine for going really fast. Like he figured out like you weren't running away. This wasn't a high speed chase. So he didn't even go to jail for it. But because he could have gone to jail for that, whatever that limit is, I think it's 2 years or 3 years or whatever, then, he lost his rights. Which is why I don't believe in the, felons not owning their firearms for non-violent felons. I'm still on the fence of like violent felons. I know there's an argument to be said, like, okay, you did your time, you're back out, you should get all your stuff back. And I'm open to hearing that argument, but personally, like, I'm still okay with a dude who's been violent in the past should at least be restricted for a little bit until he can prove he's not going to be violent again. Like, I'm okay with a 10-year probation or something and then get your rights back. Like, I think that's a decent compromise.
Oh, I'm not logged into this account, so I'm going to try to do it this way, I guess. I don't have success doing it this way. I was going to try to put the comments or update the comments with some of these things we're looking at here. One of the other things that's happening is the SHORT Act, so the Stop Harassing Owners of Rifles Today. SHORT. So that would be Senate Bill 4986. The Short Act would remove all of the following from regulation under the NFA: short barrel shotguns and any other weapons. So effectively, it would leave machine guns and destructive devices on the NFA.
And suppress.
Oh yeah, sorry, and suppressors. Great point.
But here
Very
in Protection Act will take care of that one.
Well, exactly, and it would leave suppressors kind of dangling there to be removed. So here's the thing. I mean, this is a thing that's not new. I'm just bringing it up because it's in the list of things, and it's more appropriate to, just rather than just complaining about the way things are, because that's what I'm trying not to do. But the Short Act is sort of take it to them. Oh, by the way, SWVA Marksman, thank you. Southwest Virginia Marksman, appreciate that. Threw a super chat at us. I keep forgetting this is on the Gear Web on the Daily Gun Show channel. So the Daily Gun Show channel probably brings in, it's hard to say, like $50 a year or something. Like it's a couple of bucks a month. So super chats, definitely, that's everything this channel makes is from super chat. So that's very interesting. Thank you. Or I mean, it's very nice. Thank you. This channel just doesn't get very many super chats because I'm usually on the big channel when people super chat. It all goes to the same pile, so I appreciate it. It's just kind of neat to get some super chats on this channel because it doesn't, like I say, I don't usually pay attention to this channel very much. But thanks for the cash. It goes into the pile and we'll pay bills. No fanciness, just paying bills. Could you give Smeggy my email address? It won't let me post it and be open to trading. Well, here's the deal. On Sunday, if you're able to join us live, we'll be trading patches. So feel free to join us and we can trade. You want me to keep those, right, until Sunday, and then you can do your trading or whatever. But otherwise, yeah, I can give Smeggy your email address. I won't do it now because I'd be scared I'm going to screen share it or something. But I'll send him your email address. Okay, so what I was going to say about I wanted to break in there and say thanks to SWVA Marksman for throwing the $5, and then Patriot did the same thing. So thanks again, man. That's another $5 to this channel. Ask the Snowman what his 2A breakfast. What's his 2A breakfast? Oh, I see. That's an old one. And then hashtag ninja. So thanks again. I do appreciate the super chats tonight. Here's the deal. I'm going to need to, I'm going to have to write these down on a piece of paper because on Fridays, we say thanks to the people who super chatted. And because these will show up on the other channel, on this channel, I won't see them when I do the thing on Friday night. So I'll be sure to write. I am going to write these down right now, and then I'll be able to include them Friday when we do the random.
And say while you write that down, then I'll go ahead and say my 2A breakfast thing.
Why don't you tell them where that comes from, the 2A breakfast, or what where the question about breakfast comes from? If you remember what I'm remembering, if it's what Patriot's remembering.
Well, I was thinking it's the whole like rewriting the Second Amendment in terms of breakfast, but I don't remember where that came from.
I thought you rated it up.
So
you didn't make it up?
I mean, I don't know. I think I did, but I don't trust my own memory, and I'm worried that I'm taking credit for someone else's thing. But I at least made it better if I didn't make it up. And I don't know. I kind of don't remember where it came from, but I will say what it is for the other people that are listening if they haven't heard it before. A well-balanced breakfast being necessary to the start of a good day, the right of the people to keep and eat fruit shall not be infringed. And the reason I phrase it that way is basically to counteract the argument about, oh, the Second Amendment's for militias, right? Because we all have heard that argument before. Well, it's only for the militia people are allowed to own guns because it says a well-regulated militia. Like, that's what it's about. Well, when you phrase it in the breakfast thing, then you ask, does this mean that the breakfast has the right to fruit? Or is it that the people are allowed to have fruit and eat fruit because you should do that during breakfast? Like, that's what makes breakfast good. And it's the start of a good day. And then additionally, like there's so many levels on it to counteract the arguments when people try and get rid of the Second Amendment. because you'll hear things about, well, you're allowed to buy it, but you can't carry. So that doesn't infringe on the Second Amendment. Well, no, it's have and eat fruit. It's, in order, like it's the same, the buy it and carry it. Like
Yeah, it's
that's
not a balanced breakfast if you just own fruit.
right. You have
You're
to be
standing
able to
next to a balanced breakfast, but it's not a balanced breakfast until you carry the fruit or own both.
right. And then also the last part, kind of going back with militia, is that just because it says a well balanced breakfast, the right of the people to eat or to have and eat fruit shall not be infringed. It doesn't mean you can only eat fruit at breakfast time. Like you can still also have fruit at lunch. You can also have fruit as a snack, but it's in there because you should have a good breakfast. But you can also use it for whatever else you want because that's important. So it's a really good way to get around some of the word games of using as close as possible to the exact wording of the Second Amendment to really show like this is what they meant, you know, a well-balanced breakfast, a well-regulated militia. Like it's the same thing. The right of the people to keep and eat fruit or, to keep and bear arms. Like it's the same thing. And I don't know if I've had success with that. I've used it at times with people that have been, going on the militia route. I don't know if I broke through and they go, oh, that makes sense. Yeah, that it's not about militias. But maybe someone who overheard me, like that's when I have conversations with people, I want to change their mind. But if they're really like hardcore against it, then I'm just hoping that who's ever listening, I could maybe change their minds. And it goes back to like I worked with this guy. I'm just gonna call him a FUD because he was that type of dude. Like, why do you need an AR? And he owned shotguns and rifles or whatever, but he is why do you need an AR? And I used to argue with him over the cubicle wall because he sat like right next to me in the office. And I knew I was never going to change his mind. But all the other people around me, they got to hear our conversations. And because of that, I've had people come up to me and then be like, I didn't know you were a gun guy. Like, I'm going to the range tomorrow. Like that. And then it turns out like everyone in the office was like pretty cool Second Amendment people. And I didn't even know because they were all like in the closet, not talking about it. But because I didn't care and I'm arguing with this bud.
I think a lot of people don't have opinion one way or the other, literally. Like they just have not put a lot of thought to it. Think about it. If you've never put much thought to it, you just hear a little blurb once in a while. You watch a movie, you got no idea. So why would you know all the depth of it and all the intricacies of it? So sometimes having it explained by somebody who has some awareness of it it opens those doors, right? And lets you go, oh, there's a lot going on in there that I didn't know. And you know what I mean? They can appreciate that. And then they don't even have to dive in to know that there's more in there. And now to then, what's the word? Like they'll be impervious to people saying gun owners are just seekers of violence. They can go, no, they're not. I know a friend who isn't. So right off the bat, no. And then one time they discuss this so rationally that I can understand there's way more to this than what you're trying to say is a black and white issue. So no. And they don't even need to know what you know. They just know that you know it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's like they need to realize that it is a nuanced topic. And so if someone comes at you with just a bumper sticker and that's at the depth that they give you, honestly on both sides, like, but we're thinking more from the anti, like if someone tries
that's a great point because all they're hearing from the NRA is bumper sticker garbage too. So they're thinking, oh, it's just all bumper sticker garbage back and forth. And then they hear from your side, oh no, there's more to it. And they can go, oh, okay.
Right. So then what happens is now some vote, some bill comes up or some law is up for vote. And all they're hearing from the advertising and whatever is, oh, guns are evil, blah, blah, blah. And they're going to say, I know there's more to that. And I've had this happen where something was coming up. And because I made myself aware to everyone, like, hey, man, I'm out. I'm a gun guy. Talk to me if you want. Then they came up and was like, hey, so this is what I know. They're trying to pass this law. Here's the bumper sticker. If it saves one life, what's really going on? And then I'm able to break down and go, well, really, all they're doing is messing with people like me who doesn't do anything wrong. they're just trying to take my stuff away, or they're just trying to make me pay an extra $50 or whatever the thing was. And then they can walk away from that going, oh, okay, that makes more sense now. Like, they can see behind the curtain a little bit. But even as just for the sniff test, is like they know they're being tricked when they get a one sentence blurb, and then okay, so you're going to vote for it, right? Well, why? Well, I already explained it. I said one sentence. You should believe me now. And because they know there's more behind it, they can go, okay, this dude's a con artist. Like, you can just tell the way people talk, right? Just like a used car salesman or whatever. There's good ones and then there's shady ones. You can tell the way they're talking, be like, oh, I don't trust this guy. I'm not going to buy from him. And all they need to know is that there is more going on under the hood, like, than what he's saying. And I've used that analogy before, actually, with cars, because I don't know a lot about cars. And so I like to think of it when there's like a gun bill coming up for vote. And obviously I know a lot about it, but most people don't. They just hear, oh, we're going to, ban this thing to be safer. I put myself in their shoes and go, what if there was a bill about, banning turbochargers that are over 3.5 inches? Well, I don't know. Is that a big one? Is that a small? Like, I don't know anything about turbochargers. I know they make a car go faster. And they're saying, we're going to ban these because cars are going too fast and get in accidents. Well, if I go talk to a car dude, they might say, dude, a 3-inch turbo, like, doesn't even gives you 1 more horsepower. So you need to be concerned about 12-inch turbos, or, I'm probably making the numbers wrong because literally I have no idea how big they're supposed to be.
No, but that's the point. And then they could also tell you that the 3-inch turbo is every turbo on the road, and they don't know what they're talking about, and they'd be banning turbos. They're just doing it in a way to make it sound like they're not.
Right. Like, my truck's got a turbo.
Yeah, exactly.
It's for fuel economy. Trust me, that my F-150 is not going 200 miles an hour.
So we kind of got on a tangent there. I was saying thanks to the people who super chatted, and then Patriot Super Chat was talking about the 2A breakfast analogy. So is that an analogy? I think it's an analogy. But what I was getting at with this short act, and it's kind of going to say it's kind of what you were talking about there, at least a little bit, I think. And we see it here at this post right here. But this is an attempt to remove a couple items from the NFA, an attempt to nibble or an attempt to chip away at the NFA by creating a bill and putting it up in front of the Senate and saying these things shouldn't be on the NFA. Okay, I'm stating the obvious. But it's an official going through with the system that we've got. What I've heard recently, I don't want to say in the last week because it might have been 2 weeks ago. I've got a lot going on right now. But is this sentiment, who I don't know who this person is, but they say in reply to this is just somebody on Instagram replying. It says, they always introduce this stuff when it has exactly zero chance of passing. They had the presidency and Congress, blah, 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 blah. Republicans don't care about gun rights. So, awesome, whatever. So you can, if I say, yeah, whatever, some people are going to hear that and go, oh, he thinks Republicans do care about guns, because those are argumentative people that are looking to complain and bicker. And then there's going to be people that go, okay, so therefore let's just do nothing, right? The sit downs, whatever you call them, people that are always looking for an excuse to sit down. Oh, this is all over. We should sit down. Like, oh, it's nothing we can do. Let's sit down.
It's never going to pass. Why do they try?
Yeah. So I don't know. There's probably a bunch of different chairs people can sit in for their excuse. People can pull up a chair and sit down and not do anything. But I did hear somebody who is, I don't know, not somebody I'm a big fan of, but it's somebody who's out there all the time. And they were saying, this stuff has zero chance of happening. We shouldn't be spending any time on it. And I'm like, fuck you, because what the hell? So one, what are we just supposed to blink our eyes, and when we want good things to happen, it's just supposed to happen? Or do good things have to start with the kernel, which becomes a snowball, which becomes the giant thing, which becomes the avalanche, right? Like, do we expect, like, out of thin air, the people who are our adversaries to just say, you made some good arguments, let's get rid of the NFA. Let's all work together to get rid of the NFA. Or is it going to be something that starts to accumulate and lets the perception that the NFA is not necessary start to exist. And something that says, here's ways that we want to get rid of the NFA. Well, I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen miraculously or whatever that's called. I think it's going to take some effort. So people that are so short-sighted, I don't think they're short-sighted. I think these are definitely people that are looking for an excuse to sit down and do nothing so that they'd never fail. Because you know what they say, the only people that never fail are the people that never do anything. And there's people that have never failed because they've never done anything, so they don't know what it's like to just work, right? They don't understand that effort doesn't always have a positive consequence. Sometimes you fucking work and you're just treading water. Sometimes you work and you sink. Like, you don't always get a positive result. In this case, you got to get buckets before you can move water. You got to have a chain, or you got to have people willing before you can start to accomplish. So this ain't the only step. This ain't the perfect step. And this ain't even a step necessarily. It's just an indication. It's just a direction that everybody's looking in. This is like somebody shouted over here and everyone looked over in that direction and went, oh shit, we can all look in one direction. What if we walk that way? You know, and we can make actual strides. So I don't know who this guy is. I'm not trying to pick on whoever this person is, but that concept of, if this isn't a home run, why should we support it? You know, that's a thing. And that's the kind of conversation to have with people who are at the advanced level. Because there's a lot of people who will stay in the quagmire complaining about how blue the sky is and how the clouds ain't white enough and how sometimes there's clouds there and sometimes there ain't. And you get done having a 3-hour conversation with them and you've talked about how the fucking clouds are, instead of talking about something else that actually can get us going. So I just wanted to bring that one up because I did hear somebody shit all over the idea that the NFA can't be removed. And at a time when I'm having a conversation with somebody who's asking, you know, what do I do about my brace, at a time when the NFA says that you can't have short rifles, and we've had pistols since 2000s. Since the early 2000s, we've had pistols. Braces are just allowing us to shoulder pistols without making them into NFA items. But the existence of pistols themselves, which predates the braces by 12 years, at least. Actually, there was pistols before the ban. So, you know, the pistols themselves predate the stupid brace, which is the most recent incarnation of them being scared that the NFA has no justification. Those pistols have existed since the 90s. So that means the pistols, 30 years after that stupid law, no, I guess I should be 60 years after that stupid law was written, pistols have existed. And that means pistols have existed for 90, 2000, 2010, 2020, for 40 years. Almost half the time the bullshit law has been there, pistols have been there. Think about that. And they want us to concentrate on braces, and they want to use braces as a way to remove or add pistols to the NFA. Well, pistols with braces, but you know where that's going. So at the same time, we could be taking our time to educate and talk about and make people aware of the idea that we've had however many years on the clock with pistols. There should be no short barrel rifles. We don't need an act to get them off our backs, but that's the act is the crowbar that you use to get them off your back. It's not like you need them. It's the justification is there for them not to be on your back, but this could be the crowbar. And if it ain't the crowbar, it could be the rummaging through the toolbox to figure out what the tool is that we do it with. I'm just ranting, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, you said something that made me think of another one of my favorite sayings, and that is, you know, don't let the perfect be the enemy of close enough or good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the kind of thing.
Kalashnikov said it, and it's perfect. Oh wait, what is it? Anyway, it's Kalashnikov saying.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I know I've heard other people say it, but yeah, don't let perfect be the enemy of, you know, whatever, something that works. And that's the idea. Like, we're not going to get all the NFA gone tomorrow, so why bother? That's the thing. Yeah, in a perfect world, NFA wouldn't exist. But until then, let's get good enough. Let's get towards that direction. Let's get rid of a couple things, and then maybe a couple more, and then, you know, change
maybe I'm attributing the quote incorrectly. I guess his quote was, things that are complex are not useful. Things that are useful are simple. But he actually says things that are useful are not complex. Are not complex. It might have been Benjamin Franklin. Now that I'm thinking about it.
I'm pretty sure I got the second half of that saying a little bit wrong, but the don't let perfect be the enemy of, and then whatever the saying, and it's something about like the good enough or the close enough or whatever that
It
type
says
of
it's
that.
an aphorism. An aphorism is a concise, terse, or memorable expression of a general truth or principle. Aphorisms are often handed down by tradition from generation to generation, such as 9mm sucks. That's an affirmation. So let's see. It says perfect is the enemy of good means insistence on perfection often prevents implementation. Where all these mosquitoes are coming from. Of good improvements. Origin. Voltaire, who quoted an Italian proverb in his Questions de blah 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 in 1770. So I guess it's a little bit older than Kalashnikov, in fact. So Voltaire, I've heard of that guy before. He's a Frenchman. You're quoting Frenchman. It started out being Das Setz et Scrits un Sage Italien dit qui le mux est lumini du buen. Pardon my French.
Yeah, that's basically what I said.
I'm pretty good at speaking French, so I don't want to get people upset that I'm so good at speaking French. So here's one. Assault weapons are murder machines that have no place on our streets. And then the other button is state agents need murder machines on our streets. What do you think of this? This is the gun rights policy saying this, but what do you think of this tactic of you would suggest that these firearms, these pieces of property are too heinous to be on the streets, therefore they shouldn't be possessed by individuals, yet they're the exact same things that are in possession of the police, which are on our streets in police cars. Do you think that holds water, or do you think that works? Do you think that only works in 2020? I don't like things that only work based on current events and like what people's temporary short-term political memory is, right? Like, because that doesn't work in a long term. But I'm reading too much into it. What do you think? Is that a good tact? People that are listening aren't just having to listen. You can type and be part of this too. Jump in.
I like it, but that's for two reasons. One being it's pointing out hypocrisy, which I enjoy doing because that's, for one, I really hate hypocritical people. I try not to be hypocritical myself. Maybe I am sometimes, but if people point it out, then I reconsider. Like, I think being logically consistent with whatever your like belief system is, that just makes sense to me, and that on any type of topic. And then the second one, which you kind of mentioned, it is a little maybe more short term, but the idea being is because I've seen a similar thing of that without the first half of being, cops are a bunch of racist murderers, only cops should have guns. And that's, again, pointing out, like, why are you saying these people are the only one allowed to have something, but you also think they're bad guys? So why should they be the only ones with a thing? So it's almost like a three-step, like assault weapons are evil. Cops should have assault weapons, but cops are also, murderous racists. Well, that doesn't jive. Like it doesn't make logical sense. And I don't know if it ever changes people's minds. I mean, I think a lot of people, like, let's say you say that to Bloomberg or whatever, he's probably just going to roll his eyes and be like, yeah, this smart ass. Like, I don't know if it's effective, but maybe it is. Because like I said, I know if someone points out hypocrisy to me, I reevaluate, like, oh, you're right. I have been saying this, but also doing this. That's not really right. And I'm open-minded enough to change my mind on stuff if people bring me evidence and good arguments. I know I'm not like every people, so maybe most people just go, the guy's being a smart ass. And especially when it's in meme form, like
Well, it
I
depends on who you're talking to. Are you talking to Bloomberg or are you talking to somebody at the office? You know what I mean? Like somebody at the office might be like, whatever. But like you say, there's other people who are aware of it. And even if you have a conversation with somebody and you're not successful, at least in my experience with few conversations that I've been able to have, and definitely not being successful, it changed anybody's mind at least, right? Or even just having delivered a concise, like good representation of like, a position or something, a good positive 2A position. Like I don't have that I haven't had the way to practice that or enough or whatever. But so anyway, whenever you're saying it, if nothing else, even if it falls on dead ears, you're getting the practice of having said it out loud, and sometimes having it fall on deaf ears, and you saying it and knowing when to shut up and not just beat it to death is priceless. So if you're going to practice that, do you want to practice that in front of people who might actually care, or do you want to practice it in front of people who could care less? Like I don't care if I'm practicing in front of my parents or if I'm practicing in front of my enemies, because they're not people that are ever going to care about what I'm doing, an audience. So you know what I'm saying? Like I don't see that as a loss necessarily, even if you aren't perfect, I guess, right? If the delivery isn't perfect, because at least you're honing it.
Right. Well, and the other thing of that is sometimes that kind of stuff, it might not be effective when the person first hears it, but maybe later, like
It adds up.
something else happens or something, and then it like pops into their head and they're like, oh yeah, that doesn't make much sense. Why am I supporting this and this? That those two don't go together.
So, and then there's something to be said for having a conversation on developing that aspect of our tactics, of our skill sets, of our abilities. A bunch of people can shoot rifles, and a bunch of people can shoot shotguns, and a bunch of people can shoot revolvers well. A bunch of people can shoot pistols, and how many people can shoot, fill in the blank, two of those disciplines. Some people can do two. How many people can do three, right? Well, how many of those people can have a conversation with an anti? How many of those people can take someone who's a gun owner who doesn't have any passion for our rights or any awareness of the lack of rights that are applied differently across the world, or across our country at least? How many of these expert whatever, how many gunsmiths or how many Cerakoders, right? Like, so we got a lot of potential there to have some conversations and to when that happens, right, as more people get more fluent in having these discussions, where that's that much better off, stronger, whatever. Sorry, I'm distracted by these dang mosquitoes out of nowhere. A giant fat mosquito will fly in here. I'm not hitting them every single time I clap, but I mean, I've killed like 7. I mean, how many can there possibly be in my house? I can't imagine where they're coming from. There's no stagnant water. Well, there must be stagnant water somewhere. Sorry, just that I keep getting bit by them. I'm like itching all over the place.
There's not too many mosquitoes out here, but when there are, they'll hit you 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, these guys are biting me, and then they're coming back to bite me for like the second time, and that's when I'm noticing them. Because I'll see something buzzing, and then all of a sudden I'm itching. I'm wearing a sweatshirt, so they can only get me on my hands. It's driving me nuts. But they come right into my face on my sweatshirt.
It's healed up now, but I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bites all right here on my arm the other day.
I think they go after soap and stuff. Oh, man. So Marco, not blaming Marco, but Marco gave me the rest of his laundry soap at SHOT Show this year, because he does that whenever he's leaving. He just gives me whatever he's got left at the house, and I take it because I'm cheap. So I'm using it because I ran out of my soap or whatever, and I use it as my backup soap. And it's stinky. It's got a bunch of perfume smell. It's like, Tide or something. I always use the non-stinky kind of, what do you call it? Laundry soap, I guess. And I'll bet you that's what it is. My sweatshirt that I just laundered stinks like a laundromat, and I'll bet you that's attracting all these mosquitoes, which are not used to having, this kind of smell. Because, like I say, normally I don't wash my clothes and stuff that smells like laundry. I don't know what it's supposed to smell like, some kind of fruity smell or something. Oh, I bet you that's what it is. All the more reason I'm gonna eventually go to the store and buy some of that. You ever know what I'm talking about? The soap that doesn't have any flavor, scent to it. A lot of people use it. Just soap without any scent.
Really?
Yeah, just so it does the same work as soap, just that it comes out without any scent to it at all.
Yeah, I mean the stuff I use is like no scent. 'Cause it's like hyperallergenic, like natural, blah blah blah, whatever.
Oh yeah, that'd be even better. I don't think mine's like that. I get mine. I don't get it at the dollar store. They don't sell it, but I get it at the regular store. So I doubt it's fancy.
I just have I'm sensitive to different fragrances and stuff, so it helps.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't know if I am or not, but if I can pick, I'm getting no fragrance. I don't want that stuff. I feel like it kills my nose. It's like wearing out my senses or something. I can only smell so much stuff. I'm not going to waste it on fake soap or whatever.
Yeah.
Let's see. So Wield is saying I guess this technically laundry soap isn't Second Amendment related, so I'm going to move back.
The keep and wash their clothes shall not be infringed.
Yeah, like mosquitoes coming at me should be infringed. Wield is saying I've had pistols long before the brace came along. Back to the rubber crutch pad and neoprene sock on the buffer. So that's super interesting. He's talking about the rubber crutch pad at the top of crutches where you stick it in your armpit. I don't know if you ever had crutches before, but that's like a big rubber dealie that would fit around the end of the crutch, right? You shove it in your armpit. So I'm guessing that's what you're talking about, putting that on the buffer. And then I don't know about the sock. Are you saying the sock to hold that on, or are you saying a sock to act as the thing that holds the arm to the pistol effectively? And that is super neat because that's basically what the first brace was. I mean, not exactly, but really close to what the first brace was. So I'm wondering did that guy even invent it, or did he just put a name and a patent on something that people had already been doing? Like he's seen it at the range or seen it somewhere. It was in 2012, so he could have seen it online for all I know. Anyway, I never put two and two together, so that's pretty interesting. No, I'd never heard anybody describe it like that. But and I don't know what era you're talking about there either. But the pistols that I'm aware of started back in 90 something, because in 94 already they had the Bushmaster pistol where they skeletonized it and everything for the assault weapons ban. So that already existed. All right, so I'm going to jump back over to New Jersey. Where are we at? I'm over an hour. I should probably end this thing. I don't want to go too long. I don't need to wear it out. I didn't really hit all the Instagram posts, of course. Really just wanted to hit some Second Amendment stuff. Really some angles on some of the Second Amendment posts even. And maybe just typed a couple of things up that are going to be interesting, worth checking out. We can go over and just look at Instagram, see what's happening. So one thing you can do is just scroll down on Instagram, right? And when we scroll down, we got Armed Women of America with a pretty awesome little picture here with silhouette and some little gun. Maybe just a Glocktober type of picture. Some little Gen 19 or Glock 19 Gen 5. Alan Anchor has a post saying everything is on sale until Friday. Their 8th birthday was on Halloween, so they're celebrating that by having a sale all week long. No codes or nothing, which is technically ripping us off, but we'll let it pass because it's a birthday. Then we got Yankee doing his Toys for Tots thing. Dang it. Yankee's doing his Toys for Tots thing, and I guess he's getting that started in the beginning of November. A bunch of people hate Yankee, a bunch of people love Yankee. One of the things he does is collect a bunch of money, and then he goes to Target. So I can understand collecting a bunch of money. And then he buys a bunch of toy guns, specifically guns, not any other kind of toys, but guns. And then he goes around giving those guns to people who sometimes wouldn't want to take the guns, but then he gives them shit and then they have taken the guns. Or he distributes them to sheriffs and stuff who will take them and make sure that they get out. So I don't mind that he's doing it, but it drives me nuts that he goes and pays full retail at Target when he could be doing this like 18 other ways. At least go find like a gun shop that sells toy guns, right? Like, come on. Target of all things? The Target part bothers me. But otherwise, good to go. Cool project. It's interesting to see each year how large the project, how big the scale becomes by individuals dropping a few bucks into a pile. I mean, there's a lot of power there, and it's neat to see it happen once in a while. And in this case, it happens physically with the larger and larger vehicle Yankee requires in order to facilitate the whole project. And obviously, he gets a lot of enjoyment out of it. And I'm guessing a bunch of kids like it because they get toy guns. So here's the thing about the border. I don't know. This is a place that's a intelligence service. It'll tell you all kinds of interesting stuff that they've found out, that they've discovered, and some of it is good and some of it is not so awesome. Looks like we found some horrible stuff at a farm. This is a friend of mine down in Mexico that does a bunch of miniatures and stuff. And he had these little miniature EMT shears. And I think did he make them? I don't speak Spanish good enough. Definitely can't read it well. Va de nuevo la mini tierra de emergencia medicia pintados los mangos se ve mucho mejor. So I'm pretty good at Spanish, but I just can't have. That's one sentence I can't happen to read good. This is a suppressor company. Oh, I got that one. It's so dead. This is a suppressor company in Austin. I've been there. Follow their stuff. They're interesting. They're weird in their own way, but they're always being weird about suppressors, so it's interesting. Gun policy, talking about I wear red. It's manifesto. Some kid dancing with his grandma. It's one of the ladies on the DC project. Let's see what Jason Jones is talking about. This is not really 2A, this is border.
Big Bend sector, just south of Van Horn, Texas. As yesterday, they got on a sign which is tracks on the ground for approximately 3 miles through some of the roughest country in West Texas. And look at this lone agent, one officer, located 7 drug traffickers sleeping in the middle of the day after they had hidden their drugs approximately a couple hundred yards away. And that's a normal tactic that they see. But imagine being that lone agent walking through, this kind of country for 3 miles and walking up on 7 drug smugglers alone, and then having to wait for backup, which, by the way, the only backup that's coming usually for over an hour is a helicopter before taking these individuals into custody. They ended up taking down approximately 200 pounds of marijuana. We don't know yet if that's a poly load, because sometimes they'll put fentanyl or methamphetamine within these bundles. But it's an example, guys, of what's taking place on that border every single day. Now, yesterday in West Texas, it was extremely busy. Let me also show you what happened out in El Paso, Texas, where Border Patrol agents had a surge of migrants between the ports of entry, specifically Venezuelans and also Hondurans, who tried to come into the city of El Paso, and their crowd control officers had to be deployed to the area. Now, the question you have to ask about this in order to repel them back is, what's the why? Why are these migrants flooding into the El Paso sector?
With a giant flag.
I have been putting up the warning signs for the last several weeks. We have seen a major increase in the El Paso sector, literally going from about 20,000 apprehensions a month on average to over 49,000 in September, with 15,000 gotaways. So what is happening is that you have a massive surge of people coming into the El Paso sector. The other issue here is that the winter months are approaching. So I am very concerned, guys. We're going to have a dark winter here. The altitude is much higher out there. It's going to be much colder. And both on the Mexico side and on the U.S. side, they don't have the resources. So you've got to expect we're going to have a lot of problems in the winter months here. And I'll say it again and again right now. If the federal government is watching, you need to be paying attention to what's happening in West Texas, because this is only going to get worse. And we're going to continue to see more drugs to the west and the east, while migrants are trying to surge in the middle, and the cartels are going to be feasting and making this happen, pushing and pulling. And get ready, you're going to continue to see it back to back.
It's a major warning. We're hearing from Border Patrol agents who do see migrants crossing illegally every single day. Jason Jones, thanks so much for that.
Oh, really? So normally they apprehend 20,000 people, and now 15,000 people get by while they apprehend 49,000 people. So normally they hold 20,000 people. Now they're holding 49,000 people, and 15,000 people walk by while they're spending their time handcuffing people. What do you think of the idea that they're dragging bundles of marijuana into a country that has recreational marijuana in like however many states now? Does that make sense that they're carrying bundles of marijuana up from Mexico? Does that make any sense that that marijuana is better than the marijuana that you'd get at a store that wasn't carried by some dude across the desert? That might be a big giant package of fentanyl. That's more like it. Because that package of marijuana, I don't know what that's worth in that big square. But if that was fentanyl, it'd be worth a lot more. G23 is taking off. Good luck with whatever you got going on in the morning. Echo is asking, does you know if there's a large gun show they do in Tennessee? No, but let's go find out. Tennessee gun shows. Gun Trader is one of the big gun show things. Gun Shows USA is another one. Here's an specific TNSCgunandknifeshow.net. So there's somebody with their own website for their own show. That's a great indicator. This is called American Gun Owners Alliance Tennessee Gun Shows. It says 3 days ago, so we'll open that up just to see what it is. We got RKS Shows. I happen to know that RK Shows is another promoter. See, that's just the website of the promoter's website, though. This is a website that says, well, I guess this could be a promoter too, but it sounded like that's specifically a show. Another promoter site, another promoter site, and another promoter site. So let's go to this first one, Gun Show Trader. There's that RK Lebanon gun show. They have shows in November, December, May. It's at the Wilson County Fairgrounds. And okay, then we've got in November one on a gun show in Tennessee on the 5th. 1, 2, 3, 4 different gun shows in Tennessee on the 5th. We've got 1, 2 on the 12th. You got 1, 2, 3. One of them was canceled on the 19th, and then 1, 2, 3 on the 26th. So there's definitely a lot of gun shows happening in Tennessee. I guess DJ's falling asleep. Let's see. So that's
hang with real 2A.
People are allowed to hang up their 2A on a hook, I guess. Go to sleep. I was just watching. Have you ever seen Hacksaw Ridge?
No.
I figured it was a stupid war movie and I didn't want to watch it. So somebody was saying it's so good, so I watched it, and it is so good. It's one of the better ones. It's not the better. It's a better new one. It's not one of the better war movies, period. But it's a good war movie for the last couple of years. It's got one of the Spider-Mans. I forget which one. It's the Spider-Man with the good Mary Jane. The Mary Jane who is the daughter of a police officer in it. And I don't think she dies. But maybe she does. Anyway, it's that one. It's not the first Spider-Man, and it might be the middle Spider-Man. It has to be the middle Spider-Man. So I don't know I don't have any idea what that guy's name is. I don't know if he did any other acting except for that and this other thing that I see. And anyway, so it's a movie about a guy who's a conscientious objector. So he refuses to carry a gun. And at the beginning of the movie, they're all like, "Come on, man," and they beat him up and stuff. And then he's like, "Come on, man," and they're like, "All right, come on, man." And then they go to war, and then he ends up being a good dude and saving a bunch of people and getting I guess he was the first conscientious objector to get a Medal of Honor. So pretty interesting movie. It balances between being good but also being super fake. So
did he go as like a media or something?
No, he was a medic. He was a medic. It was pretty good. He was just a medic going in with I think it was Army. No, it was Marines. Yeah, I think it was Army because I don't know. Did Marines? Man, I don't know. Trying to think if they ever mentioned the unit. Really, it's hard to say. I think it was Army. But anyhow, he goes into basic, and he goes in as a medic, just a combat medic. They called it back then, I guess. And so he's up there with everybody, just without a gun. And just like the other medics, I mean, none of the medics had guns. It's just that he insisted on making a big deal about it, enough to where they had a big problem with him in basic until they were like, "All right, fine, no problem." I think it was interesting. I'm not going to spoil the movie. It was. Have you seen Iwo Jima? I think it's Iwo Jima. Kind of a more recent Navy movie.
No.
There's a Navy movie that's either the last couple of years, unless I'm really off, and then it's the last few years, but a fairly recent Navy movie that's not bad. I mean, it uses all kinds of CGI and good computer stuff to be a really interesting movie of a battle in the Pacific where I think it's called Iwo Jima, because I don't really know anything about naval battles at all. But it's some battle where they had to play battleship, play around with their battleships or play around with something about the boats, and then also something about the airplanes. So, like, I don't know, you know how it was, like 4D chess. Like, if we bring this battleship over here, then that'll be too late for this aircraft carrier to be within range of that island. And what we really want to do is take out this, blah, blah, blah. So they were doing all this stuff, and then all the things aligned, and the Battle of Iwo Jima or something starts. And it's a battle for a while, and it's a movie about the battle. So it's sort of a movie where maybe a quarter of it or something is lead up, and then most of the movie is just this chaotic, like, battle. And the people that were critiquing it were like, there's nothing wrong with it. It's all pretty good. It's just that if something would have taken an hour to happen, all these different things, they crammed it into like 15 minutes. So it just seemed like everything was nonstop chaotic. You get done doing this and this starts happening, when in reality you'd get done doing this and then tomorrow that would happen, or 3 hours later this would happen, or this took 2 hours to happen, and in the movie it just sort of happens, that kind of stuff, so that they can make it look good. You drop a bomb and fly away and then it would explode, but in the movie you pull the trigger, the bomb goes flying out the front, and just to make it more cinematic or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I can forgive that type of editing too, because
it's hard to not forgive it when it's good and they're trying to get a point across. It's just that it's not historically accurate, which isn't necessarily what people are going, right? Not even a documentary needs to be technically accurate. Maybe war footage should be accurate. And that's what my complaint is. It's the stuff that happens is like just physically not possible. The stuff probably took the guy a while, or the things that happened probably did take place, but I'm sure people rested in between and they weren't just like getting shot, waking up, getting up on their feet and doing their thing again. There might have been 12-hour span of that happening or something. And then a whole bunch of boring stuff in between, which they're never going to show, and they can't, right? But it gives the impression that war happens in like 15 minutes, and then there's these long pauses where dialogue happens, and then another war happens in 15 minutes. And it's just, like I say, it's storytelling. They can't really not do it that way, unless it's going to be a really boring movie.
Well, what's that one? That's the Desert Storm movie where most of the movie the dude just like walking around and they're in like the oil fields and stuff.
I don't
It's
know if
basically
I've seen
from,
that one.
from the Marines' point of view, but it's like we're not doing anything. Like they fly in and blow stuff up with airplanes, and then takes us a day to walk to where they just blew up, and there's nothing going on. That's the only movie I could think of.
Like they did documentary type of thing where it's real footage.
No, it was a movie, but like the point of the movie is kind of
like Jarhead or one of those depressing shit movies.
Yeah, I think that's what it was, Jarhead. I was gonna say the point of the movie is like the boring stuff.
It's like Hollywood is like, you know what? We've got influence, and even though we don't know what the fuck we're talking about, we're gonna dress up like and act like we know what we're talking about and look cool and cosplay army, and then talk shit about it. Essentially, yeah, I couldn't handle that movie. I mean, I'm not a Marine, but I could tell that ain't no fucking Marines. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, I wasn't condemning it for its accuracy. I was just mentioning that's one of the movies like where they will show the boring parts because that was kind of the overall point of the plot.
Right. Because it's a part of exactly part of it. So, dude, I don't know. As far as for Echo, I don't know if he's still out there. There's in November, there are. Oh, that's interesting. That's a live auction. So that's, I bet you. Oh no, what am I thinking? It could be a real auction. I shouldn't assume. I was gonna say I bet you that's an online auction, but that's just because I got online auctions in my head, watching one tonight and everything. That could really just be a plain old auction. That would be interesting. So that's kind of neat. This Gun Show Trader has a gun auction listed also. But there's I don't know enough about Tennessee. There's Dixon, Rossville, Lebanon, Sweetwater, Jackson, Clarksville, Gray, Memphis, Morristown, and Clarksville. If you take the lax train to Clarksville, I'll meet you there somewhere. At the station, I guess. They don't say how many tables there are. And maybe if I click on them, they'll tell me how many tables. Nah. They got a lot of stuff in here, but they don't tell you how many tables. There's a 200 plus gun collection auction coming up though on the 5th.
I mean that one you clicked on was the Tennessee Speedway, so you'd think that would be pretty big.
Oh, I don't remember which one I clicked on, dude. It might have been the last one. Yeah, Clarksville Speedway.
I'm just thinking, like, if that's like a NASCAR track or something, those are pretty big. So maybe that gun show is big. But it also could be a couple tents out front. They're just using the space, you know? Like, it doesn't need to be like it's the whole infield or something.
Oh, yeah, exactly. They can rent the thing and then use the outbuilding or use the foyer or whatever the place is called right at the beginning. But there's the gun show in Vegas where all they do is, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a hockey thing. It's probably a hockey thing. But they don't use the hockey thing. They use the area around it where the seats would be. When you move the seats away, it's just like a bunch of room, you know, where the seats were. They fold into the walls like in a gym or something. So they just have all this room that appears where the bleachers or whatever would be. And they just have the gun show in a big donut shape around the center. Sometimes if the gun show is big enough, they go in the center also. But a lot of times it's just in the hallways around that big center part. I bet you it's either a basketball court. Well, it's hard to say. It's probably both, because now that I'm thinking about it, there are basketball things that come down, But they could do that on a hockey court real easy, right?
Yeah, that one is normally shared. Not always, but a lot of times basketball and hockey are the same arena.
And it seems like the kind of floor where it's got some kind of hockey business or ice business going on. And if it's hockey, that also means it's sort of like ice capades and ice shows and ice skating of other. Like, is there ice sports? There must be. Probably one of the ice sports is ice skating around in a circle enough times to cut a hole in the ice, like they do in the cartoons all the time. I'm assuming that's a sport, like how round you can get your circle, how fast you can do it, how many circles it takes you to get the cut.
Yeah, but they normally do those outside because when you're done cutting the hole, you start ice fishing. It turns into ice fishing tournament.
Oh, or else you get like a cat or something that has to like run as the disc spins in the hole. Like runs on it like a treadmill. This one looks pretty big. It's at the White County Agricultural Fair Community Complex, which, judging by the size of it, looks pretty darn big. Looking by the picture, I should say. Doesn't look like theirs is till December 10th. I feel like you should be going to the Wanamaker show. Or no, Echo. I'm thinking John Z. Does this one tell us how many tables? It'd be nice. They show admission and hours and the promoter and everything, not number of tables. It's not like there's some kind of list of where all the number of tables are, and then they're just not including it. Most of these promoters, well, I should say, there's no reason for the promoters to list the number of tables. Nobody really asks. But I feel like they should.
You would think that'd be useful information because especially if I'm traveling to go to a show that like maybe I just heard about, like, oh, it's an hour drive away or something. Okay, I'll go.
Now,
and then you show up and there's least, right? 10 tables, or you show up and there's 500 tables. Like, that's a big difference. I'm not going to drive an hour for 10 tables because probably not going to find what I'm looking for.
Yeah, and then at the same time, I think they could probably do something like 100 tables. 50 of them tend to be, World War II or before, something like that, or have some sort of a cool bar graph that shows you surplus stuff, police and military, and then eras or something, so you can kind of look and go, okay, I got kind of a weather report, so to speak, of what this show might be like or what they tend to be like. That'd be kind of cool. On the other hand, there's not that many people even go to shows, let alone giving a crap what the shows are like. They're either aware of shows or they just, they're going to go to every show, in other words, or they understand what shows are and they'll go to them when they need to and they could care less how they are. Or if they have already given up on gun shows. I don't think there's too many people on the fence like, well, I'm going to, it's like when Matt watches that Watching Dead show. He still watches that. And it's like, I think 11 years ago, we started watching that show. And I watched it for maybe 4 seasons and they kept watching it pretty intensely. They're still going live every week to talk about it or whatever. Not too many people go to gun shows like that level of interest.
Yeah, I've honestly only been to a couple of gun shows. And I think part of the problem was I wasn't really looking for anything. I went because other people wanted to go. And I'm like, well, yeah, I like guns. So sure, I wandered around and saw stuff. But because I wasn't really shopping for anything, I was open to if something jumped out at me from the table, like, okay, cool, I'll buy that. But, I don't know. I'm not much of a gun show aficionado.
You ever go to swap meets?
Yeah, I've been to swap meets before.
But it's not like you go to swap meets. Like, you're not a collector. Like, pretty much a collector, I think, is going to want to go to these kind of shows because you've got the potential to see, unknown, random, obscure, rare, unique or whatever. Or just grab stuff that's common, but the person doesn't want it anymore or whatever. Like, you got the opportunity to acquire stuff and to learn about stuff. So I can't imagine anybody else going to a flea market, really, unless you're like what I can't imagine anybody else going to a flea market other than people that collect shit. I guess maybe somebody that's reselling stuff would go to a flea market knowing that they can buy stuff cheap and then probably resell it. But when I go to a swap meet, though, I guess I'm another type of person. I think most people go there for collecting or something. But I think, actually, I shouldn't say that. I think a lot of people go there just to hang out and to be at an interesting place. It's like going to the mall, except, way cooler. It's like going to a garage sale mall, a mall full of garage sales. So in that respects, if you're interested in just going to hang out with a bunch of people at garage sales, then gun shows are crazy interesting. And that's all the fun right there. It's just hanging out and chatting and seeing all the weird people and listening to their stories, or finding out like why this thing on their table is different than the one that you've got, or the other ones on other people's tables, or whatever. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not knocking gun shows. I'm just saying my personal experience with them, and it was fun, but I didn't get nothing. I don't have the story of, that time that I found this thing that I've been looking for years, and I finally found it. I have that kind of stuff with comic books. It's like, I've been looking for issue number 13 of this one like forever, and then when you finally find it, you're like, this is amazing. But at the time, I'm not collecting something. I didn't have any collections that I needed to find. Like, I'm sure you with the bayonets, right? You all of a sudden, here's this Hungarian one I've been looking for 7 years. I've never even heard of it before, or whatever. Like, that's cool. That's exciting.
Oh yeah, exactly. It was hunting, but also learning and then discovering and that kind of shit. So once you're already paying attention to people's tables, now you're paying attention to people's tables, and at some point you go, like I've seen like the spam can opener, the can opener that opens up Soviet spam cans. Spam cans are the ones that you open them once and that's it. They're disposable. The can gets used once. You can reuse it or, use it for alternate reasons, but it's not like our ammo cans. So a spam can, you open it with a can opener and it's open once, like a can of soup. And then a ammo can is more like is that a mason jar where it's got that crazy little lid that opens and seals, and it's a glass jar that you can open and close a million times because it's got a resealable lid. That's the ammo can difference from a spam can. So just the spam can openers, at some point I figured out like I don't think I've ever seen two of those things exactly the same, unless there's a pile of them on somebody's table and they are all exactly the same. One of them will be a different color, it'll be a different shape, it'll be a different whatever. And it's because some of the ammo is from pistol caliber ammo and it's going to have a smaller ammo can. Some of it's from, I guess, probably big ass shit, and some of it was from rifle stuff. And then different countries, and then different times, and then different, maybe the stuff they send to the desert is different than the stuff they send to the Pacific Ocean, right? So sometimes different applications or paint jobs or something. Anyway, at some point you're walking around gun shows and you go, you know what? Those things cost nothing. I could just start grabbing these things, and in one show I might get 2 dozen or a dozen or something of something. And maybe it's something else. It could be some police relic. It could be some piece of reloading stuff. It could be a butt stocks or something, just some piece that you figure out, oh, wow, there's a lot of interesting variety there. And now you start going to gun shows and you're looking for those. And then as you're looking around, you start to figure out, oh, look at these buttons, like these political party buttons that have a gun on them. Like all of a sudden I'm seeing these everywhere at gun shows. So now there's 2 things you're collecting, and you may not be speed racing that collection together or trying to create the biggest collection ever. But now that you know that something out there that's in your price range has variety, you start looking for that. And then you keep adding to that list. And now gun shows are a whole nother level. If you're, let's say, like a collector, but you could be going to gun shows for other reasons too. You could be an investor. You can be a competition shooter. You could be just some CCW person, but you could also not be unaware that some things especially things that are only made, X amount at a time. And some people are going to ruin them. So they're going to go, that number of them is going to go down. Some of that's just worth buying. Something that's the first issue or the first one. You can buy one, put it in the safe, and just leave it there. It's an investment.
Yeah. I mean, kind of going back to you when you were talking about like the breakdown of the different types of tables there or whatever. I'd be interested to see how that's changed, because I have the general notion, and this is just based off of like a gut feeling kind of thing, but that there used to be a lot more like just weird collections and like, just regular people that decided to have a table and get rid of some of their stuff, versus like the ones that I went to, it was almost all like FFLs selling like new guns. And I'm just like, how many tables can I look at? Like, this dude's got a Glock whatever for 400. This guy has it for 410. Like, I guess if you want to do that, again, if you're looking for something, then that, which one you're going to get, and you go around to all the different tables and get the best deal. Like, that can be fun too. But for someone who wasn't in the market for just a regular, like any old gun you can find at a gun store, just going around looking at like regular licensed FFLs selling regular new guns. I don't know. I'm not trying to sour gun shows off of my experience. I think I had a wrong impression. Like, I was expecting it to be the cool swap meet style of maybe how they used to be. And then when I saw it was more, I don't know, a bunch of Walmarts next to each other. Like, okay, I guess that's cool if you want to get a good price on something. But there wasn't weird things. There wasn't like interesting stuff you've never seen before. But I also went to a kind of small one. And it was something to do on a Saturday afternoon because my buddy I forget what he was looking for, but he was in the market for something and wanted to do the best comparison shopping in person. So he literally was just going around to tables and trying to get the best deal. Man, there is something in the back corner of my yard. My dog keeps looking over in that direction.
Oh, snap. Dude, I just fell asleep here, sitting here, not chatting. So I'm going to end it here. I'm fading out.
Sorry, I'm so boring.
No, I'm sitting here thinking about it before, and I got comfortable, and I'm thinking, oh, okay. And then as I was talking, I was drifting, and then I just sort of sat here, and then I'm thinking about tomorrow and going, oh, wait a minute. I'm still in the show right now. So, yeah, like I say, I'm fading. That's the problem with doing a show late in the evening. It's going to happen once in a while. So thanks to everybody who's showing up. Like I say, I think most people ditched out of here anyway. But for the people that were out here earlier, thanks for joining. Thanks to Jacob for I think he won his patch badge.
Yeah, he had the tiny collection, I think, right?
Yeah, that's right. From last week. Tomorrow is Every Second Matters. We're going to be doing Every Second Matters tactical quiz, and jump in at midnight for that. Otherwise, we are going to wrap this one up. Thanks everybody for joining. Patriot's still out there. Wheeled is saying hey, and Echo. So a bunch of people are still out there. Echo, sorry I'm falling asleep on you, but we can definitely go live and help you find a gun show. We take a look at all those different gun shows in Tennessee, see which ones are the ones that are closest and most interesting for you. Maybe even find some people that have attended some. Be cool to be out there checking out Tennessee gun shows. Let me see if I've been to a Tennessee gun show. I have been to an Indiana gun show that was called like a tri-state gun show that was in Indiana, but I think it was Illinois, Indiana, and Kentucky. So I guess it was in Tennessee. And then I've been to, I think the other one I went to was in Missouri, and it was also Illinois and Tennessee. I don't think I've been to a gun show in also Kentucky and Arkansas. So I don't know if I've been to a gun show in Tennessee. I feel like I would have, but I don't think I did. I'm guessing you have not, Smeggy?
I have not. I've only been to a couple in Michigan. That's it. Oh, I take that back. I did go to the one that's next to SHOT Show.
Oh, right on. Yeah.
There's old guns or whatever. Now that was cool. I wasn't gonna buy anything, but some of the stuff they had there was like, dude, this thing's 100 years old or 150 years old. Like, it's just cool.
And that's a lot like a regular gun show. So as far as like a mix of mostly people that are just showing up with their stuff that they've got that's either doubles or they're trying to make some money and sell a piece of their collection, or maybe they're out of it like me. I'm getting out of my bayonets because I want to collect something else. Move it along, get it to somebody else's hands who does want the thing. And then the people that, I don't know what to call them, like that their job is to, or their main gig, their main hobby is to have massive piles of interesting stuff and then take it to gun shows and sell it. They're not really a store, and they can't do that on eBay. They probably do some of it on eBay, but most of it they're dragging to a show like that for those people that want to check it out and see it and talk and then develop relationships and shit, I'm sure too. So anyway, those aspects of that show are kind of similar to all gun shows. The other problem, or the things that's not similar, is like that antique show's focus is on like pre-World War I guns or something. Like there's not that many semi-autos in that room. Like those are mostly old guns, but the makeup of the room is similar to a regular gun show. Just the stuff on the tables is kind of specific and unique. So I don't know if I'm just reiterating what you said or anything. I'm getting tired.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, we solved 2A, so we should be good.
Well, we're right at 2 hours. So if I go to 2 hours and 2 minutes, it should work out pretty good. Thanks everybody for joining us.
Tonight's episode, The Ripoff.